What's up, it's Marco, Sage of Soccer, and today I want to talk about some positional battles going into the World Cup. We've got some games coming up and some friendlies, got some Nations League, and there are some spots that are up for grabs on this team, both starting roles and positions that people could punch their tickets, people might lose their spots. So yeah, I want to talk about some guys who have a chance to make the team and guys who have a chance to really start. So first, in goal, we've got a starting role battle and a positional battle, trying to make the team. So in that, we've got Matt Turner and Ethan Horvath battling for the starting spot, and Ethan Horvath and Sean Johnson battling for making the team, which I think Ethan Horvath's in both, to be honest. Especially with Zach Steffen out, we can get some looks to everybody. So for Matt Turner, we know how good he is stopping shots. I think the only thing that I can say about him is just how, safe I felt when people were taking a shot on him when he was just really in form. Now, the obvious knock against him is his ability with his feet. However, I want to say that, we have a chance to be starting Aaron Long and Walker Zimmerman. If we're starting them, it doesn't really matter how good a player is with the ball at his feet. We're not going to be building out the back anyway, so it won't really matter that Matt Turner can't play. So I just want to throw that out there because the ability with his feet, it might not end up mattering, which is sad because if we were a good team, it would be crucial, but that's something to keep in mind. And Ethan Horvath, we know how good he is with the ball at his feet. We know how good he is shot stopping, being able to come in rusty, but I don't know if a rusty Ethan Horvath... Matt Turner's not 100%. He's healthy now, but he's only been playing for so long since his unspecified foot injury. But, it's going to be tough to see. I hope that Ethan Horvath can at least show his stuff to make the team, but that's still up in the air. And he still has to make the team. Sean Johnson's there as well, but if I'm Sean Johnson, I might feel undervalued by this team because I think he knows that if Gabriel Sonina's in form, he's behind him, and if Ethan Horvath's playing, he's behind him as well. He has to know that there's no chance he makes the team. His ability to make the team, it's out of his hands. He'll just be a guy that we call on if everything goes wrong. So that's got to feel bad if you're him, but hey, he's here at the very least. I don't think he can really do anything to make the team, though. I think everything is out of his hands. That's being completely honest. Now moving into center back, we got Carter Vickers, Erik Pamler-Brown, and Aaron Long fighting for another spot. Aaron Long's obviously got the inside track. He's a huge favorite of Greg Berhalter. Getting called into the team even when he's injured. I really don't see it with Aaron Long. I don't think he's anything special defensively. The only thing he really had going for him was athleticism, and he's since tore his Achilles. Honestly, I look at him and I look at Mark McKenzie. Mark McKenzie was the better defender in 2020 when he left the MLS, and since then he's only been playing in Belgium and getting better. Well, Aaron Long, he's tore his Achilles. I don't see how Aaron Long's calling the team over Mark McKenzie, but he's here. I think that he'd have to make some pretty bad mistakes to get out of the team, but it's definitely possible. Erik Pamler-Brown is somebody who I really want to do well because his ability to play out the back is probably the best out of this group, on par with Chris Richards, I'd say. A very good player at that. The test with Erik Pamler-Brown is he was doing really well in France, even winning Player of the Month, but he was doing that well in a 3 at the back. And we're probably going to be playing with a 2 at the back. If we play with a 3 at the back, I'd feel really good because we'll get to Reggie Cannon later, but I'd feel good about that. But Erik Pamler-Brown, he really should be proving himself, see how he does in this 2 at the back role, and if he shows out, I think that he probably will be in this team because I think we see the value of being able to play out of the back, but he has to prove himself in that role. Carter Vickers is tough. He just had an amazing season in Scotland, probably the best center back in Scotland since Virgil van Dijk was at Celtic, and I don't think that's hyperbole. He was doing an amazing job this year. But something with Carter Vickers is I've noticed that it always takes him a little bit to adjust to a new environment. When he first moved to Luton Town on loan a couple years ago, it felt like it took him a while to get really used to the championship, get used to playing with Bournemouth the previous year, and then this year, I guess, took him a little bit to get going at Celtic. Wasn't he a part of that 4-0 loss? So, and with Tottenham as well, he could never really go in. He'd struggle against League One teams when he was forced to play in the FA Cup or something. I feel like it takes him a while to get adjusted to a new level, so I have a feeling that he won't be able to really show his stuff. I think if we would have called him in before and we would have allowed him to get adjusted to this team, he would probably be a starter heading into this, but we didn't, so it is what it is. Hopefully he can prove himself, but I don't really see him taking Aaron Long's spot, which is unfortunate. Now moving into fullback, I'm just going to talk about the fullbacks altogether because with George Bello, he's worse than all the fullbacks we have. It's just he's left-footed. Like, he wouldn't even be in the conversation if he was right-footed. It's just, can he do enough to prove that he's a better left back than Sergiño Dest? And I think the answer is no. But, with Bello, like, when I talk about him, it's not he's not good enough, it's he's not ready. He's a very young player, and he should be in a youth national team. But that being said, we can only judge him on his performances, and he's not been good enough. So I don't think he can stay in this team. I think we'd much rather play, like, Reggie Cannon or Joe Scally or DeAndre Yedlin at right back and Sergiño Dest at left back than play George Bello, which I think we're starting to see that everywhere. Like, we don't really want to call him up. We're giving him a chance to see if it really improves since moving to Germany, which he might have, but I don't think he has. I'm not giving up on George Bello or anything, but he shouldn't be in this team. Now, the actual right back conversation is pretty interesting. Starting off, we got DeAndre Yedlin, and he's been in this team for a while, but I think at this point, he's a pace merchant. He's a really fast player, and that's it. And that's not valuable. I mean, we're probably going to have Walker Zimmerman at that right center back role. So having a really fast DeAndre Yedlin at that fullback position to cover for him, that is an option, but I don't think that's good enough to make this team. I think Reggie Cannon is as fast as him, and he offers more. And the only thing I can say with Yedlin is I guess he's a veteran of this team. He was part of the World Cup. But I don't think his experience is that valuable. Like, DeAndre Yedlin, he was in that World Cup squad, and it's really disappointing to say this about him because he was so promising that tournament. But when you look at Yedlin, it's just, I think he squandered his potential. He took a bad move to Tottenham. He was clearly never going to play, got involved in like a bit of a loan army, went to another bad environment at Newcastle, and off to Turkey. Now he's back in the MLS, and I don't think he's ever gotten better. He was a part of that Trinidad game, which is a stain on his legacy. And really, like, I understand that he's a veteran. Well, he's not 30 yet, I don't think. He just turned 30. Like, he's not like a Udonis Haslem or anything. Like, he's not some wise old sage. And I'm going to be saying this with the rest of our veterans because it's a point, but, like, what experience does he have that's, like, so valuable? He played in the World Cup, but I don't know. I think that he's somebody we don't want to imitate. Like, I'm obviously not in the locker room, but I don't think anything that he can do as a leader, like, matters. Like, the only veteran on this team who I really see as a leader is Kellen Acosta. Like, you can clearly see that on the field. If that's Aaron Long and if that's Walker Zimmerman, it might be. I haven't seen it on the field. I haven't really heard that. I've just seen, like, some fans of theirs say that. But I don't see that with DeAndre Yedlin. I think all he is fast. He offers nothing going forward. He can get beat a lot defensively. I think that Reggie Cannon would be more valuable in this team. And with DeAndre Yedlin, like, I'll get to him more when I talk about Roldan, but I don't think he's valuable as a veteran. Reggie Cannon looked very good. He's actually been playing more as a right-sided center back in Portugal, which I think actually more of a positive than a negative. Like, DeAndre Yedlin, he offers nothing going forward, so I don't think that really matters. And I have liked Reggie Cannon going forward in some spots. But I think with him playing as that third center back, like, I was talking more, Erik Pamler-Brown being the center back, Reggie Cannon can play that right-sided center back. We have Chris Richards, who's very comfortable playing that left-sided center back. If we had John Brooks, that would be a great situation for us. But I don't think anybody in this group is really comfortable in that left center back role. So disappointing for right now. But even Mark McKenzie should be in this team. Like, Mark McKenzie could play that left center back role. Sorry. But Reggie Cannon, that's a valuable and that's an asset to this team. I think he can do that position well. He's very athletic. Going forward, it's a bit of a question mark, but this is the chance to show what he can do. And I really think he should be in this team. I think he's our second best left back at the moment. Joe Scally is another interesting player. He's similar to Bello. He's a very young player, but Scally's actually kind of impressed in the Bundesliga, so I feel like he should get more of a look. He has looked good at left back, but again, I considering we're not calling up DeJuan Jones at all, and he's been a better MLS player than Sam Vines or George Bello, I think we want our left back to be left-footed unless it's Serginho Dest playing there, who's just so talented. So I don't think his versatility is going to end up mattering that much. But just that right back, I like his athleticism. He's shown some good ability going forward. He can contribute well. He's held his own against some very good players. And while I don't think he's not a great player or anything, he wasn't a year-round starter in Borussia Mönchengladbach for a reason, but he has some good experience with him. And I think he should be in this team. I think he's good enough, and I want to see what he can do. And especially in a good team, because Borussia Mönchengladbach was always on the back foot. Let's see how he can do when he's playing against the Nations League squad. Let's just give him a look in that situation, because that's all that these guys have been facing. So I want to see what Joe Scally can do. At the 6, we don't have a positional battle. It's Adams and Acosta. I really would have liked Tanner Tessman to push for this spot, but it is what it is, Adams and Acosta. At the 8, we've got Djordje Mihailovic, Cristan Roldan, and Malik Tillman fighting for a role. I should mention that Gianluca Busio is likely going to be in this team, or at least in September, maybe not the World Cup roster. He's been giving a rest alongside Ricardo Pepi and James Sands. James Sands is another player who's probably in the squad over all three of these guys. Maybe not now, because if Erik Pamler-Brown's the guy we go to at that middle center back in the back three, James Sands might end up being irrelevant, but keep in mind he can do that. But I think if we bring four center mids, it's going to be McKinney, Musso, De La Torre, and Busio. So I feel like maybe we're still battling for this 5th center mid spot between Tillman, Roldan, and Djordje Mihailovic. First, I'll talk about Tillman because he's an amazing potential player. You're not in Germany U21. You're not in the Bayern Munich team, even getting some minutes for them if you're not a good player. And part of me wants to say he's a second-team player. We shouldn't be looking at him no matter what. But Chris Richards was our best center back for so long, or at least equal with John Brooks. He should have been starting for us in 2019, even when he was in Bundesliga 3 on that Bayern Munich 2 team. And I really think we should give Malik Tillman a look. Again, you can't really judge him too much because he hasn't been playing with a top flight league. He hasn't even been playing first team action. So he can only be you can't really judge him too much. But what he does, how he looks on the field, he's got all the attributes you need. And I feel especially seeing how good Chris Richards was, I think we should give him a look. But you can't judge him at all right now. Djordje Mihailovic and Cristan Roldan, I feel they're kind of similar. Okay, just stay with Roldan. It is what it is at this point. We know what he's about. He's a good MLS player. It doesn't translate to a higher level. Maybe if we play him against Granada, he can finally get a goal. That could be a send-off. But I feel comfortable saying that he's not good enough. Djordje Mihailovic, I feel he's a lot more similar to Roldan than we want to admit. Roldan's kind of a young player. I'm going to get into this more later, trust me. But Mihailovic, he didn't show out in Olympic qualifying. He's had chances with us. I think the thing with him is he was clearly better than Sebastian Lletget and Cristan Roldan, so we wanted him called into the team because I think that was more just because we knew we were going to have an MLS midfielder in here. We wanted him to be the best. He was the best MLS midfielder, but I don't think he's better than Busio. I don't think he does anything that would really make me want him in this team. He's been scoring at an MLS level. He's been getting a lot of assists, but that we've seen that doesn't translate. And again, he didn't look good in the Olympic qualifying. I don't think he fits the system that well. I'm glad he's getting a look because he is in really good form. I think he does deserve it, but I don't think it'll end up translating that well. And I think people are more high on him because we saw that he was being treated unfairly. But now that he's in this team, I don't think he'll do anything special, to be honest. I don't think this is a Luca De La Torre situation where he'll come and light it up, become an instant lock. I think he's just there. Going back to Cristan Roldan, because we're going to be talking about which one of these guys we're going to keep. I think that, Roldan's 26. He's going to be 27 really soon. He's not, this huge veteran player. I'm going to say it again. He's not Udonis Haslem. He's just a guy. And by everything I can see, he's not a leader either. He's he's not like a Kellen Acosta where you can clearly see he's leading them on the field. He's not like Walker Zimmerman where he's giving the captain's armband. Like, he's just a nice guy. Like, that's it. Like, he didn't say he's a leader. He didn't say he's, like, showing everybody the ropes. He just said, like, just everything I can hear, he's just a nice guy. He helps people out. Guys, like, have we been on teams before? Like, you cut nice guys all the time. Like, there are so many people who are really good guys who just weren't good enough to make teams I've been on. Like, it happens. Like, again, he's not a leader. I've seen nothing on the field that suggests that. I really haven't seen interviews that suggest that. Like, being a good locker room guy is important, but having a high training standard is probably more important. Like, and it's not like the guy who will replace him is some toxic jerk or something. Like, he's just a nice guy. And again, that's it. There's nothing that he's shown that really says, I deserve to be on this team. So I want to give everybody a look. I'm hoping that Malik Tillman wins out because he's got the highest ceiling, so why wouldn't I want him to win this job? But Georgie Mihalovic could be able to show out, and going to be fun to watch. Next, you got wingers, Paul Arriola, Jordan Morris. Again, Paul Arriola, like Djordje Mihalovic, he's been showing out an MLS level. I don't think that translates. I don't think he's ever stood out as a winger. Like, I've got something I could talk about Arriola for a while. Like, he's in good MLS form. That's it. Like, he's been on this team for a while. He's had 4 good games since lockdown, 2 Camp Cupcake games, Panama at home, Jamaica at home. He's been trash in both away fixtures. I saw people saying he was good against Canada. No, he tried a bicycle kick, and we were so lifeless that we applauded the effort. No, he wasn't good. He doesn't have athleticism he doesn't really have athleticism. Like, I'd much rather have like a Conrad De La Fuente who can come off the bench and really be an exciting player, or a Matthew Hoppe who can come off the bench and be a goal threat. Like, I don't think his skill set really suits him to come off the bench, and he's not going to start over anybody. So, again, don't feel like he should be on this team. It is what it is. Jordan Morris, he's out of his prime, I think, is what you have to say. Like, I can see he's used to be a good player, but he's not anymore. And we have to accept that. I think he squandered his potential as well. He spent way too long in college. He should have left the MLS, but he didn't, and injuries caught up with him. He is who he is now. Haji Wright and Jesus Ferreira, going to like to see that matchup. Jesus Ferreira looked good, really good combining with the ball. Can he score consistently? He has an MLS level. Will that be able to translate? We'll have to find out. If it does, he's our surefire starter, but have to see if it does. Haji Wright as well. He's been good with the ball at his feet. Will that translate to an international level? Will his goal scoring translate to an international level? Like, that's all we have to find out. It's a really good matchup. It's probably the most interesting one. I'm talking about it not a lot, but because there's not too much to talk about. Like, Haji Wright's a bigger player, but not really excelling in the air. They're both good with the ball at their feet. They both have been putting the ball in back of the net lately. It's just, will it translate? That's all we have to see, and I'm looking forward to seeing that matchup. So, yeah, that's all the positional battles I want to talk about. Looking forward to these games. It's going to be fun to cover, and that's all I'm talking about right now. See ya.